Hi, this is Warner here. I'm out here in Sun City, and I came out here to look at these citrus trees, and I'm going to run through what's going on with them and what needs to be done to fix them and keep them healthy. Okay, there's a couple of underlying problems. The first is that there is a bug in all the citrus trees, an insect. It's a moth from Vietnam, and it has no natural predator, and it breeds up to 10, 12, 14 times a year. And what it does is it damages the leaves. And here's some that's let's see if I can get it here. It's a few days old. Okay, but you have to learn how to identify them when they're new. Okay, so here's a leaf. Let's pluck this one off. This leaf was eaten a couple of days ago. When you've got one that was done last night, you'll see the same markings, but there's a gloss to them. And I might have picked all of the obvious ones off of this tree to show to Mark, but I'll find one here. Maybe. Anyway, there's other problems. You've got the scale on the fruit. You got the rust on the leaves. You've got the leaf rollers that are in here. You've got the large leaf miners, which have always been here, which have natural predators. You've got a number of insects, along with the citrus leaf miner, that's attacking these trees. So what you do to fix that is you've got to get rid of the insects. Now I'm going to show you a card that I gave to Mark, and I'm going to put it on this video. And it's going to tell you all of the steps that you need to take care of these bugs. You've got to spray them 3 times, 7 days apart when you find the new ones. And anytime you see another insect infestation, you've got to do that again. Now this is a watering schedule, and this is just a portion of it, but you can find this file on my website at warnerstreesurgery.com, and this is put out by the College of Agriculture, and it gives you the amount of water that a citrus tree this size needs per day in August. So this is about 18-20 foot diameter of the canopy. So in August, this particular tree needs approximately 55 gallons of water per day. So if you're going to water twice a week, that's 350 gallons plus divided by 2, which is 175 gallons for each watering. Now, in order to accomplish that, you need to get the root, you need to get the thing that stops the water. This all needs to be out to about to where the leaves fall off, or maybe a little bit inside. You need a well like those across the street, except these need to be bigger. So that's one thing. You get the insects under control. Excuse me. You get the water under control, and I've put an insecticide down here that you can only do once a year, and it's made specifically for citrus and fruit trees. The problem with this insecticide is they only give you enough to put down that it only lasts about 3 or 4 months. So Mark needs to start spraying. He's going to spray these things 3 times with the organicide, which you can get at Home Depot. And then he's going to watch for insects. And when he sees more insects, either the leaf miner coming back or any other insect that is making its home in this tree, and he's going to spray again 3 times, 7 days apart. And the reason I'm using the organicide and recommending that is because it's safe. It's made out of sesame seed oil, and it smothers the bugs. Okay, it's perfectly safe. Now, you don't want to get these trimmed again. Not only did you have the insects that have been deleting the resources of this tree, and let me talk about that for a minute. The leaves make chemicals. They make hormones and enzymes and sugars through the process of photosynthesis, and the mitochondria gets the sugar, and the mitochondria makes the ATP, and the ATP is handed off to the DNA, and the DNA makes everything that the tree needs to live, everything. And so when these leaves when this tree is fully stocked up with resources, it draws on those resources. It draws on everything the leaves make, plus on the resources in the tree that are stored in the tree to make the new leaves, the blossoms, and the fruit. So it's drawing money out of the bank until about the middle of December when the fruit's done, depending on what type of tree you have. But somewhere in there, the fruit's pretty much done. So you got from that point until the new leaves start growing, which is usually the 1st of March, for the tree to restock up the resource cells, which are in the trunk and in the roots. Normally, that's enough time. But when you trim these trees out like this, the first year it's fine, second year you get away with it, and the third year you start to harm the amount of reserves that are in the tree. And that used to be the rule of thumb, but this leaf miner has been in here since we had the mile-high dust storm, and it has been depleting. It has been affecting a majority of the leaves by the time the season's over, and because of that, for the last 4 or 5 years, the resources of this tree have been slowly being depleted. And then when they trimmed this out, they just took the last little bit of it. And now you're seeing what you're seeing. So you've got the depletion of the reserves, and the fact that it hasn't been getting enough water probably ever. Most citruses aren't, and they survive on less water. But once they're stressed out, they pretty much need, at least for a while, to get as much water as is recommended by the Department of Agriculture, which is a good number. It's the number the growers use. It sounds like a lot, but it's a good number. So you don't trim these trees for 4 or 5 years. And if you get a hard frost, this tree is going to be more susceptible to insect damage because it doesn't have the resources anymore to make the natural occurring insecticides that are in the skin of the citrus. So the insects just have their way with the fruit. They have their way, other insects have their way with the leaves. And so every tree in the valley is going through a crisis. So every tree in the valley is a source of insect infestation for your trees. So you got to keep up on that, and you got to spray. Okay. Now, so you spray, you don't trim anymore, maybe for 4 or 5 years. And if we get a hard freeze, you got to get some dead wood. And when you trim that out, you should do it just right after the last hard freeze, which is usually the end of March. And you get somebody in, and when they trim it, they should only take out the dead wood. Now you've also got a fungal disease in this tree. And this is a root-borne fungus called gummosis. Okay? And it comes from the soil, it comes in the roots, and that's what that sapping is. All right, now I'm going to come out here, I'm going to call you in October, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to treat for this fungus again. I won't have to put the fertilizer in again because you guys will be taking care of that yourself, and I'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to treat these trees with a product that will cause the tree to kick up its fungus fighting ability. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to probably do that, follow up on that 3 months after that. But I'll be out here in October when you're home. Okay. And the stuff I'm putting in now also has antifungal characteristics, so that's going to help that a little bit. But this is probably going to get worse before it gets better. And what's going to finally, there's some up there too, in the top. So, you can see that sap up there. And then there's some up there. Now, this is going to take a while to get under control, the gummosis, but that's not going to kill the tree right away, and these are going to recover. But you're not going to trim the trees out anymore for 4 or 5 years, and you're going to make sure that insects no longer live in this tree, okay, by spraying with the sesame oil. Every time you see an insect coming in, you're going to spray that time with that organicide 3 times a week apart. And you want to use the organicide. They've got other stuff you only have to spray once, and it's bad for you. And you're going to be spraying these trees for as long as you've got citrus trees. You're going to be spraying these trees to keep them healthy. So you don't want to be getting a bunch of stuff on you that's bad for you. So use the organicide. That's what I use, and it works really well as long as you're consistent with it. But all these deformed leaves are from different kinds of insects. Okay. Now, also, you're going to switch the type of fertilizer you use to one that has mycorrhizal fungi in it. And the reason we're going to do that is because that mycorrhizal fungi will populate in the roots and create a barrier between a harmful fungus and the ends of the roots. Okay, so those are the 2 handouts I gave to Mark. You also need to go on my website, get the watering schedule, and you also need to go on the website and get familiar with the different insects that feed on citrus trees and how to spot them. Because you're going to have to, everybody that's got citrus trees is going to have to learn how to deal with insects. That didn't used to be true, but it's true now. So that's about it. This is Warner. I'll wait until this tractor gets by. with Warner's Tree Surgery, and the number is 480-969-8808. Thank you very much.